morning.
You know, the minute I sold out Carnegie in one day, then all of a sudden, you know, people, I could tell there were nicer articles written. A couple people reached out that hadn't reached out in a while. So, you know, it's the old story. You know, I've made a lot of money for a lot of corporations in my career. NBC Universal, Comedy Central, HBO, all of them, and all the ones that are shunning me now. So I just kind of always have to remind people, like, remember, you know me from an NBC show, or you know me from a Seinfeld guest spot, or you know me from an Ellen guest spot. So, you know, I'm the same girl I've always been, just the hardworking, obnoxious, red-haired comedy girl. And I just want people to see, like, the whole time I've been consistent, just trying to make you laugh. Am I shocking sometimes? For sure. Do I go too far? I hope so. That's my job, I feel. Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Griffin. I am really nervous right now. I've never done a press conference. I don't really know how they work. Feel free to jump in.
Kathy,
and when I get nervous, I like make jokes, so I'm probably gonna like stumble and stuff. And this situation is different though, because this was, you know, never in the history of the United States has a sitting United States president used the power of the Oval Office, the first family, his, you know, entire media machine, which obviously includes everything from TMZ to Fox News, and the Department of Justice. So, you know, that is really scary, and it shouldn't happen to an American citizen. I'm not afraid of Donald Trump. He's a bully. I've dealt with older white guys trying to keep me down my whole life, my whole career. I'm a woman in a very male-dominated field. I love what I do. I love making people laugh more than anything in the world. If there's one amendment I'm familiar with, it's the First Amendment. I know it back and forth, and it's how I make my living. And so, yeah, it's been frustrating in this whole campaign of disinformation for the alt-right of all people to be all of a sudden these bastions of free speech, when that's obviously a very liberal cause, has been my whole lifetime. And I can attest to that in my work probably more than a lot of people. Because like I said, when you're doing 80 cities a year, you're going to the real America. So Fox News ain't got nothing on me. I mean, I really go to the real America. And then I did get a lot of encouragement. Like, you know, I spoke to Jim Carrey at length that day, and I don't really know him that well, so it was really meaningful to me that he called. And he said some really helpful things. You know, he was just giving me some perspective, because I was obviously a wreck that day. I mean, I really never thought that photo would take off at all. Like, I've been doing, quote, shocking things my whole career. Donald Trump has personally twice hired me to roast him. One time on The Apprentice. So I've known this fool off and on for 20 years. So he knows my deal too. So it's all BS. But getting back to stand-up and telling the story is now what I'm honestly most excited about.
Those eyes right here, Kathy. Beautiful. And Kathy, back to me, you right? Kathy?
Kathy over here.
My social media was so flooded that I really thought, like, okay, I am the most reviled person in the world right now. And so it's been a long time to sort of process that and figure out what's real and what isn't. And it's interesting because, kind of like the photo, it's all about what's real and what isn't, and it's what's open to interpretation. So I'm learning every minute. I'm learning new lessons. I'm learning stuff along the way.
Kathy! Hello!
For Kathy. Kathy for Kathy. There you go. Oh.
I call it a show because it's actually more like a show than my normal stand-up. It's actually kind of has a beginning, middle, and end, and there's a couple of parts. Typically, I really do change my act almost every night, but I found that people actually very much like hearing about the actual interrogation. So I have like a 10-minute section in there, and I take you right in the room. And it's not the funniest section of the show, but people responded to it, and they thought it was interesting. So I thought Jim's advice was right on, which is lean into this topic, and you'll find the comedy. And luckily, I found a lot of comedy while hibernating, and I was also doing a ton of writing. Like there's some funny stuff right off the jump, I'm just gonna tell you. The idea that the day of that photo, I had to spend 2 hours on the phone with my 98-year-old alcoholic mother explaining why I'm not in ISIS is just funny. I'm sorry. But my mother calls me, she was a little tipsy, and she says, I'm watching Fox News with the sound off, and they said that you joined ISIS, Kathleen. Now, of all the clubs you could have joined, why the hell did you join that one? So, I mean, that's just funny. Like having to talk to your mother and be like, first of all, I don't think they're recruiting 57-year-old Irish American comedians. I don't think I would do very well in the training camps. I've seen those videos. And also, I got a big mouth. I don't think I would cut it nicest, not for a second. Now I'm finding through straight up comedy, I'm trying to sort of get people to forgive me and get people to come back to me or give me a chance. And it's interesting. It's really like I'm starting all over again. It's like my old days, either before I was on Suddenly Susan or after I was on Suddenly Susan and I couldn't get arrested. And, you know, I put on shows by myself once a week at the Laugh Factory, and I called the Laugh Factory and I literally said, what's your slowest time slot? And they go, we can give you Wednesdays at 10. And I said, I'm going to pack the place.